All right. Welcome everyone to another class video. This one is going to be kind of an overview of what we're going to be doing for the next couple weeks because we don't have a lot longer left for the entire semester. Now, first of all, if you submitted a first draft for Essay 3 problem solution, you have it back. Every single essay that I received either through D2L, excuse me, either through D2L or directly to my email has been graded, commented, suggestions, all the whole nine, and has been sent back to you. So you need to check your inbox as soon as possible. I am put up on D2L. Let me see if I can open this up here, and let's just go back to revisions for Essay 3, that these are going to be due on Thursday, November 5th. That's 11/5 if you want the digits. No later than 11:59 p.m. That's 1 minute to midnight. I should just make it 2 minutes to midnight since, I love Iron Maiden and I love that song. But anyway, 11:59 p.m. I need all revisions by then. Now, if you're happy with what you got, and a lot of these were really, really good, so if you got a nice solid A, which you can't get an A plus, and you're happy with it, you don't have to do a revision. If you want to try for a higher grade, I need the revisions by the 5th, no later than 11:59. If you haven't turned anything in, which many of you haven't, um, or too many, I should say. It's really not a whole lot of you that haven't turned anything in, but it's too many for my liking. Whatever you give me between now and 11:59 p.m. on the 5th is going to be your final draft. You're not going to get a chance to revise. Simply don't have time, and that's kind of how that works. So if you haven't gotten anything yet, you really need to get me something. Trust me. Uh, I mean, real 1 point is better than zero, So you got to get me something if you haven't. And with that said, we are moving straight into Essay 4. I have the assignment sheet right here. This is notice I have it two different ways. I have it research supported argument right here and research based. This is the one you want to really focus on. It is a research supported argument. Basically what you're doing is you have a thesis, which is your opinion that you're going to use sources to back up and support. Okay. Now this is a research paper for the most part. Topic is of your choice. A couple people have already asked me for some suggestions, and I did my best to give them some suggestions. So hopefully that helped. But the topic is anything that can be argued for or against. I talked in detail about a few that I don't want to see. Watch the video if you don't know what I'm talking about. But essay 4, the research argumentative essay, is basically a culmination of everything that we've worked on so far. You're not going to be allowed to use first person in this. And second person has been off the table since day one, yet for some reason, some of you out there absolutely just cannot keep the you, yours, and yours out of your essays. Second person has never been on the table, but first person is now also off the table. This final essay is going to be third person. Now, in a later video next week, I will I'll show you more about that. Right now, I'm just introducing it. So even though this is a research paper, the overwhelming majority of this, including your thesis, should be your thoughts. That's why I have a your in bold there. I'm not shouting. I just want you to be able to see it. The root of the paper, the foundation of the essay should be your thoughts, your opinion on the topic. The research is going to be supplemental. It's going to support your claims. It's going to support your points. It's going to back you up, basically. So again, you're going to be using all the things. You're going to be using analysis. Of course, you're making an argument. You're going to be evaluating because you're arguing. You're making a claim, so you have to evaluate it, the validity of your claims. You're going to look at opposing viewpoints and probably should address them at least a little bit. And that's basically what it is. Now, this one is the minimum is 1 full page longer than it has been all semester because this is your final exam. You don't have an in-class final exam like you normally would. This essay is your final exam, so the length is 4 full pages bare minimum. That's the minimum, okay? And I just put 4 to 5. If you want to go over 5 pages, you can do that, but 4 is the absolute minimum. This has got to be MLA formats. Too many of you still are not putting your essays in MLA format. Very, very few are not even putting your names or anything on it. I just get a block of one. I got one solid paragraph that was 2 pages long. Not a single break, not a name, nothing. So no, that's going to count against you. Format will count against you on this one. Your works cited page, which you will have because it's a research paper, does not count towards the 4-page minimum. So don't write a 3-page essay, put a works cited page on it and go, hey, it's 4. That's not how it works. Don't do it that way. Now for the outside sources, you need a minimum of 3. Okay, that's 3 outside sources. I'll go over again in later on in another video of emphasizing on how to do effective research and what are reliable sources versus non-reliable, all of that. But you need a minimum of 3 outside sources. Okay, now this one has to be in third person. I'm going to say that again. No first, no second. The first draft will be due on November 7th, and I will return those to you no later than absolute latest by November 13th, which is Friday the 13th. I'll have them back to you by then, and then you have until, and this is for all classes, this is for every section, you have until Thursday, November 22nd at 11:59 p.m. to turn in the final draft of your research essay. If I do not have this by 11:59 on the 22nd, I cannot accept it. I've been lenient all semester because we have another day, we have another week, we have another whatever. I have to have your final grades in. I am giving you all literally up until the last minute to give me time to actually read and grade these and get final and calculate grades. This is as far as I can push it. So if I don't have something to you by 1 minute to midnight on November 22nd, you're gonna take a really big hit on your grade. So please don't take that chance. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and just say that's enough of that and bring that down. So a couple other things I want to talk about. In this problem solution essay, and in the first 2 as well, but specifically in this last one, I found myself writing qualify this statement. Qualifiers and modifiers. I'm going to talk a little bit about how to use those more realistically. I'm not going to say correctly because I mean, it's either realistic or it's not, basically. Now, qualifiers, when you're making statements that don't apply, and now in conversations we do it all the time, but when you're writing or making a claim in your essay, you don't want to use absolutes. You want to qualify statements because very few things, it's the old joke, death and taxes. Very few things are absolute in our existence, in our universe. So what I mean by qualifiers are don't apply statements to everyone or an entire population. I've seen several essays this semester where something was literally one single tiny thing that was actually an opinion was applied to, I don't know the exact numbers, but there's at least a billion of these particular types of people on planet Earth, and someone in an essay was applying one thought, one point of view, one opinion to literally billions of people. That's completely ridiculous. Now they probably didn't mean it like that in the essay, but what you have to remember, you're not there to go, oh no no no. When you write something down, it's there. The person reading it has to take it for what's on the paper. You don't get to be standing behind them and go, well, let me explain this a little bit more. So stay away from absolutes almost all the time. See, I qualified that statement. So if you say that, like, I know a few people who like blah, 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 then that means it's not that popular. That's the general impression, right? Well, I know a few people who like it. If you're talking to your friends about a movie, and you say, hey man, have you seen that new insert generic movie, probably a sequel or a remake title here? And they say, yeah, I know a few people who like it. Okay, so that's not trashing it. That's not saying that it's an abomination and that it's terrible. It's like basically if one of my friends that I trust says, I know a few people that like it, I'm not gonna it's gonna go way, 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 way down the list. If I have absolutely nothing to do and I'm bored, it'll crack a few hours for me, and I know it's not gonna totally suck, right? So a few, not too bad, not too great. Some is a little bit above few, you know. Well, this type of this type of whatever is few and far between. That means there's a few of them. There's not very many. Some means that there's a little bit more. Yeah, well, there's, like I'll go back to the movie. What did you think about that particular movie? Well, there's some really good parts in it. Again, it's not a glowing review, but that's better than, I know a few people who like it. It's a little bit better. So you're just going up by degrees, and they're not increments. They're not measurable. You can't say that a few is 3 and some is 7. It's relative. It's going to be a relative term. If there's 10 trillion people and 70 billion like something, then that might be some in that case, because you're comparing it to a trillion, so it's all relative. Now, many is a majority, and it's not just a majority. Like, if 51 out of 100 people like something, that's not many. That's a majority because it's one more. But that wouldn't necessarily be many. That would be very close. Like if someone won it'd be low scoring, but if there was a basketball game that was 51-50, that's not a blowout. That's an extremely close game, but the majority of the points were scored by the team that won, even though it was only one. So many generally means most, right? They mean they're very close, kind of like few and some. Few is not very is a little tiny bit, but not zero. Some is some less than, we'd have to assume it's less than half. Many is a majority, and then most would be almost all, 89 out of 100. Well, you got most of them right, right? Or I got a few right. Okay, so I got a 15 out of 100. Well, at least I got a few. I got a 91 out of 100. I got most of them right. You see what I mean? So it's degrees, but they're not scientific measurable numbers. They're degrees. So when you make statements, use qualifiers. Don't say everybody likes this. That's a lie. That's false. Now I say everybody all the time, but nothing is everybody. Almost nothing. Uh, Everybody alive has certain things that 100% of us have. But y'all should get what I mean. Now, absolute modifiers are either all or nothing. Okay, so if I say people get mad when this happens, what a literal translation, a literal interpretation of that is that that's 100%. People hate it when blah blah blah. That's literally 100% if you take it literally, because there's no qualifier on it. Most people hate it when this happens. That means a majority. Some people hate when this happens. You see what I mean? So absolute modifiers are 100 or 0. No one likes this. In a literal sense, that means there's not a single human being in history that has ever liked that. No one likes this. So look at degrees, good, better, best. Few, almost none. You can use almost in front of it. Almost everyone likes this. It's that simple. So when you're going through these, use modifiers, because so few things are absolute. Now, what I want to cover next is I want to talk about collective nouns, because I've seen a lot of those in your essays, and where those get tricky is how do they act? Are they singular? Are they plural? I mean, it depends on how you're using it. So I'm going to use this PowerPoint again, and I'm going to show you guys this and explain it as we go on. Of course, the good old Alex Ross painting, amazing artist. So collective nouns are words like army, audience, board, all of these. You can look at these. Cabinet, and I don't mean a cabinet that you put clothes in. I'm talking like a presidential cabinet or something like that, where you have a group of people. A committee, a company, corporation. These are all collective nouns because they're made up of many. And as they are written here, just the word itself, they are treated as singular. However, they can be treated as singular or plural. So if we look here at the first example, every afternoon the baseball team follows its coach out to the hot field for practice. Okay, this means because everyone on the team is doing this at the same time, they're acting as a singular entity. So the baseball team is one. It is one thing, one entity. It is singular. Now notice that I didn't say their coach. Oops, I'm sorry. Let me go back. So I didn't say that the baseball team follows their, T-H-E-I-R, by the way, because some of you are still putting T-H-E-R-E when it should be T-H-E-I-R. Every afternoon, the baseball team follows their coach out to the hot field for practice. Now, most of us, if we were saying that, if we were just talking to someone, we would say there. But technically, the baseball team, since it's acting as a singular collective noun, is an it. It is not a they. Every afternoon, the baseball team follows its coach because it is a thing. A baseball team is a thing. Now it's made up of humans, but it's still a thing. Okay, so it follows a singular verb, and it's is a singular pronoun. Now, if we look at plural, it's if that singular group is acting out of concert. In other words, they're not all doing the same thing at the same time. So in this one, a jury. A jury is an it. It is a thing. Now it's made up of people. However, the entity of jury is a singular thing. But if the jury disagree, then they become plural. So the jury disagree about the guilt of the accused and have told the judge that they are hopelessly deadlocked, not that it's hopelessly deadlocked. Because the individuals, the 12 people on that jury, depending on what kind of, we'll just say it's a criminal case, so there's 12. Okay, it's not a civil case. There's 12 angry jurors. They act out of concert. They're not on the same page. They disagree, so therefore it's a they. Now, if the jury was unanimous, it's an it. The jury was unanimous in its verdict. Now, if you listen to the news, if you listen to reporters when they're doing, or like crime stories and stuff, some of them say that correctly. Some of them actually say the jury was unanimous in its decision, and they'll say no, the jury's still deadlocked and they can't decide. So that's how it works. So when they disagree, they're acting as individuals. They're not acting as a single unit. When they all agree and it's unanimous, they're a single unit and singular thought. So it would be plural if they disagree. Now, if you can't decide, if you don't know how to, if it's singular or plural or collective noun, all you do, just put the individuals after it. Like here's some real easy things that you could do, like put members after jury. The jury members. Now you know it's plural because the members are plural. The member, or say members of the jury. If you want to put the prepositional phrase in there, and then members has to be the subject because of the jury is a prepositional phrase, and a prepositional phrase can't have a subject, so jury is no longer the subject of that sentence. So now members is 100% a plural subject. That'll solve that problem. If you're talking about a team, instead of saying the team headed out to the field, say the baseball players. Now you've got players. You've got it's plural. Or if you want to throw that prepositional thing in there, you could say the players of the baseball team all went out to the field, which sounds ridiculous, but it's still proper. You could say that. Technically, it's correct. The players of the football team worked very hard during practice. And that would be during their practice, right? The players on the football team worked very hard during their practice, T-H-E-I-R, because now you're talking about the players. Now, if you said the team worked very hard during its practice, because now it's just the team, singular, and it's a thing at that point. Players become plural. So that's just something that I wanted to point out really quickly, because I have been seeing some issues with subject-verb agreement and noun-pronoun pronouns, antecedent, and all that. So again, since this last essay is so important, and it's gonna, all the stuff that we've done so far that I've been kind of giving you a lot of slack on, I'm not going to for this one. Your works cited page, for example, I'm still getting something from on some of these essays. I'm still getting things that are supposed to be works cited pages, and I have no idea what they are. They just look like some copied and pasted URL code or something. Look, I can go over it again in another video if you want, but I've already got a video showing how to do it, what it should look like. I've got the little cheat sheet that explains it in text that's also properly formatted text that you can look at on D2L. a lot of the things that I've been giving y'all slack on for the first 3 essays are by the final essay, this is what it's all building up to. So by the final essay, my standards are going up with your level of experience and your level of receiving feedback. So put your best possible effort into this final essay. And again, for a very small number of you, this final essay is going to determine whether you move on or have to take this class again. That's my kind of nice euphemistic way of putting it without saying the F word, because I don't like that word. So that's where we're going. You can see the tiny little light at the end of the tunnel there, and it's not a train coming at you, none of that. It's you can see the light, the finish line. So don't stumble. Take a moment, breathe, gather your thoughts, and then start thinking about what you want to do for this final essay. And I'll just see y'all next time.